Hey everybody, Joey Boy here, the Joey you can trust, back with Walking Dead Rosemap video, featuring the second day of Buildmas. Welcome back to the second episode of the 12 Days of Buildmas, where I build teams with rosters from the community. This episode, we will be looking at a fellow faction mate of mine named AJ, who resides in Macon region and rides with the banner of Mother Dick. He rocks a heavy, free-to-play roster with some lucky pulls here and there to give the roster a little bit of uniqueness compared to other free-to-play rosters out there. AJ wanted a multitude of teams, but for time's sake, for the video, out of several attack and defense teams, I will be going over 2 attack teams and 1 defense team. Any other teams I show, I will be showing them with no discussion, as they'll just be honorable mentions, so that you can not only see a few teams talked about in depth, but you can also take that info and the honorable mention comps and run with them however you please. Let's begin. On the second day of Buildmas, the community gave me my second Minnow roster with an AJ who needs a few teams. The 2 things AJ was concerned about the most was a high firepower range team that was burst and has a little bit of survivability. If we want burst for a ranged leader, we go with Andrea for strictly big dick status. This team will also need the ability to handle revives, as the game will produce more and more, so we bring in Tyrese for those comps that just have one too many revives, so we can start removing them for good one at a time. For the next spot, we will want to have some support to the team. Whether this is someone giving AP, removing AP, crowd controlling, or buffing, that if we can place someone in the team that can't be resisted, then I would hold this person somewhat of a high priority. In AJ's roster, he has just that, with the survivor being Barker. Barker removes AP to 3 while giving 75% AP to 1 survivor. With the command and the right setup of AP generation, an 85 AR who just used their adrenaline rush can get 75% AP back to then use their adrenaline rush again the next turn if they are commanded. So yes, there will be some situations where the stars will align for this team, where Tyrese can adrenaline rush back-to-back turns. Barker's focus will help as well for human shields and or confuse and taunt adrenaline rushes once turn 3 hits. Seeing as our team is completely squishy with no healer, we will take a revive for our next spot being Hunter. He can stay alive with Indomitable and a decently high % damage on his adrenaline rush to still beat up some reds. Our last spot will be Command Sadiq to give us options instead of a linear approach in this attack team. As for the weapons on this team, Andrea and Tyrese will be wielding similar weapons unless you would like to go at 20%. So Andrea could use her Adrenaline Rush turn 3 and not have to be commanded. Barker is also going to have an offensive weapon. Hunter is going to be impair when defending special weapon mod, same AP when attacking, but for the stat, we're going to go with defense or HP. The longer Hunter can stay alive, the longer he can keep reviving people, so you can eventually start killing more enemies on the other team. As for Sadiq, we're going to go completely tanky, HP defense, and instead of an impair when attacking, we're going to go impair when taking damage. Combat mods for the team, as for Andrea, Tyrese, and Barker, they're going to be more offensive, attack first red, stun resist, a mixture of AP down and graze, and for Andrea and Tyrese, we're going to be going also with the wildcard attack first blue, so then we can obliterate anything and all range thrown at us. As for Barker, since we're going to be facing off against blues and red, stun resist and impair resist is going to be good because him lowering AP to 3 is going to be very important, so that adrenaline rushes, especially revive cycles and heal cycles, can be halted and staggered. This same combat mod setup will also apply for Hunter as well, except Hunter is going to go more graze so he can stay alive longer to make sure that the entire team can stay alive longer. Sadiq will be completely tanky, just so he can stay alive, and as he's not really going to be attacking too often. To make sure that we can always have him around for his command, we're going to take Taunt Resist and Confuse Resist. So long as Sadiq is going to be mostly commanding, we don't have to really worry about him too much attacking to make sure that he stuns himself from a stun when taking damage weapon. Second attack team, AJ really wanted something that could slap up some melee defenses. Since this is the case and there isn't a good attack plus AP when attacking leadership for greens and reds, we will go with a majority green team. With this being the case, we will choose Green Abes and Ham for our leadership, giving us attack and crit. For our next survivor, we will want some sort of sustain. We had Hunter in the first team, but for this team, we will take more of an HP regen approach setup by bringing in Carl. Having Abe and Carl will not only have 2 stun on attack weapons, but both can heal, which will help keep your team moving forward. Carl, for his AP gain active, can help out for those situations where you have survivors that have a pubic hair left of AP from being able to use their adrenaline rush. Third spot, we will want to bring in Victor. This now gives us 3 stun weapons and a neutralizer under its belt, along with focus for those confused taunt and human shield teams. The last 2 spots will be a combination of utility, self-sustain, and burst damage. To make sure we can eliminate our enemies even faster, we will want a defense down, and to further this, we can apply an attack buff to us that will make it even better, and that person for this job will be Javier. Javier has an Impair active for more AR control, an absolute defense weapon to make sure no AP gains to the enemy, and has an Adrenaline Rush that gives your Wang Dang massive growth through hot water application and shrinks the living hell out of the enemies by tossing some cold water and ice all over them, giving them record-breaking shrinkage so you can two-hand your shit and beat them like you got a baseball bat. For the last spot, we will want more crowd control, but a different type of crowd control. We can also find a survivor who can supply this and also deal massive damage will also be a big plus. Not only do we have someone for this job, but this person can be stronger throughout the fight, giving you the power you may need in case there is bonus HP and shields on the enemy team. They can also apply 1 crowd control, giving them 2 sources of CC. This beautiful babe that will be joining us will be Eris. She'll be an important survivor to this team as she has the ability to evolve throughout the fight and give your team the means for a win. Taunt to 2 active, stun to 3 AR, 50% heal and bonus HP, Adrenaline Rush, and Hold the Line combined with Javier's defense down and attack up will make Eris just smash the souls of your enemy, especially when we build her offensive combat mods and if she has any Hold the Line stacks. As for weapons, we're going to be building Abraham and Victor completely identical with attack, AP when attacking, and stun on attack. Make sure that we can apply as much offensive pressure as possible from our damage dealers. Eris and Carl are going to be built very similar, as Eris does come with 30% defense, so we're just going to stick with defense on her weapon, AP when attacking, absolute defense, but instead of absolute defense for Carl, we're going to go with stun on attack, giving us 3 stun weapons, and our other survivor has the ability to take no damage and give the enemy 0 AP. Javier will be similar, but instead of defense, we're going to go HP. Since he already has an extremely high HP stat, let's double dip in it, AP when attacking, and absolute defense weapon. Combat mods here are going to be mainly offensive, with defensive on our support characters and healers, as well as giving everybody some sort of Blean or Bird damage for more offensive pressure. Attack combat mods on Abe, Eris, and Victor. We're also going to be going an attack versus yellow or green on everybody except Javier. Considering this team is made to beat melee, as this is what AJ wanted and this is some of the best that I could find in his team so far, that Javier is a very pivotal survivor because him buffing and lowering defense is very important. So if you happen to go up against another heavy green team and they all happen to target Javier, we don't want him dying. So we will go defense versus green with Javier. Stun resist for everybody for the resistant combat mod. And as for what I'm going to use the auxiliary mods here, I'm going with a combination of bleed and burns here. We're going to go Victor, bleed, and burn, and then bleed on everybody else. This team does not have a decapitator, so we don't have to worry about X-Survivor having to get the last hit. So if we can have everybody barrage somebody, and then have a bleed kill them, this can actually help improve our chances of getting a turn 1 kill. With a mixture of grazes and AP downs as well for survivability and AP control, this should help us tank out a majority of melee teams out there. Last team on the list will be a defense team, and we will bring our good buddy Red Zeke to give a little bit of rainbow love here. I can see bringing in some blues to counter our Red Zeke leader, so a green human shield can be useful here. So we'll bring in Koa. In the case they have a neutralizer, then I am honestly okay with that, as they would keep Koa from ARing and making him human shield more often. In the case the enemy has stuns and impairs, we use Rosita to clear that up to give the enemy an oh shit moment and make them pay for not dealing with her from the get-go, if we can make this team tanky enough to not die turn 1. My next choice to this defense is another red, which I would be against if it wasn't for AJ having Hold the Line Andrea. Her base defensive stats are high, and she is a Hold the Line. A Confuse to 3 Adrenaline Rush with bonus HP and Pain Split will make her a superpower if not taken out early. Andrea has a Focus active so that she can take care of taunts and confuses, while Rosita will remove stun and impairs, giving you 2 survivors that remove all crowd controlling penalties. When combined together, our last spot for the team, we will be bringing in Barker. Having someone who can manhandle AP all around and gains to our team and losses to the enemy, which cannot be resisted, is a strong pick. In the case Andrea is taken out early, we still have a focus on our team for Confuse, Taunts, and Human Shield. As for weapons on this team, it's going to be heavy defensive weapons with either an HP or an AP when attacking. And as for the special weapon mods, for our reds we will go Stun when taking damage, AP down for Koa, and Impair when taking damage for Barker. Combat mods, we're also going to be going super tanky as well, as we are gearing this team for a timeout team, with some kill potential, through Andrea Hold the Line if she happens to get stronger throughout the fight. Defensive and HP combat mods for our stats, defense first trait disadvantages, stun resist, graze, pretty much all around, AP down for Rosita and Barker to to make sure we can actually have 2 people on the team that can throw the enemy ARs off, so it actually throws them for a loop a little bit. As for our Andrea, we're going to go Confuse Resist and Taunt Resist, as if anybody is going to be taking Andrea out, I feel it would be heavy blues, which would probably be dealing with Taunt actives and Confuse actives. If somebody is going to attack her and try to stun her, there's always the risk of you stunning them back. And in the case Andrea is stunned, we'll have Rosita clean out the impairs and stuns. There you have it, everybody. Episode 2 of the 12 Days of Buildmas. I hope these teams shed some light for you all out there, and I hope you can either use these teams verbatim or run your own version of them based on what you have in your roster. One thing I would like to point out for AJ's roster is to keep an eye out for another survivor with defense down. Connor and Javier are both yellow, and I think you will want something on the opposite end of the spectrum so you can cover more grounds versus severe heavy tank teams. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, it made you laugh, bored you think positive, please give a nice karate chop, the like, subscribe button, make sure to leave a comment down below, support really appreciate it, and on that, I'll catch you on the next video. Bye bye!